So I'm now delighted to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Jasmine Motarjemi. Jasmine holds a doctoral degree in food engineering from University of Lund, Sweden. After her academic engagement in 1990, she joined the World Health Organization in Geneva as a senior scientist. Later, from 2000 to 2010, she held the position of Assistant Vice President at Nestle and worked as the Corporate Food Safety Manager. In 2006, she blew the whistle on deficiencies and violations in food safety management in Nestle. Consequently, she was retaliated against, and after 4 years of bullying and harassment, she was eventually dismissed. Only in 2020, she won a major lawsuit against the top management of Nestle, which proved the company's violation of Swiss law and failure to follow up on her food safety concerns. In April 2019, she received the GUE NGL Award for journalists, whistleblowers, and defenders of the right to information, which was established in honor to Daphne Caruana Galizia, that was brutally killed in Malta. Jasmine, who is joining us online from Switzerland, will present a case study entitled "The Story of a Food Safety Scandal in an European Multinational Food Company." Dear Jasmine, the floor is yours. It's a real honor to have you with us, as always.
Well, thank you very much, Costantino. I'll see if this works. Do you see it now? Do you see the slide?
Perfectly. Thank you so much.
Yes. So first of all, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to present at this forum. This is the first time food safety is being discussed in such a context. I would like to tell the story of food safety incidents which happened in one of the biggest food companies in the world, that is Nestle. And I've chosen this because I know something about the company as I worked there as the head of food safety. Before that, I would like to say just 2 words about our food safety management system, just to tell you, assure you that we have a good system in principle based on 3 lines of defense. 2 are preventive and 1 is verifying the adequacy of the 2 first. However, despite this robustness of the system, there are sometimes incidents, and when there are incidents, actually they are the result of multiple failures, not one single, because we have a good system. If we analyze the incidents which have happened in Nestle during the last 10 or 20 years, we can see that the root cause of all these incidents are corporate failure, corporate management failure. Each incident is like a tentacle of an octopus, and the failure is in the head. And this is what I'm going to prove now, if time allows. So the case that I would like to present happened in France early this year in March. 56 people got sick. Most of them were children, and 2 children died. And some others suffered very severe sequelae. The outbreak was associated with Nestle pizza of the brand Buitoni. And according to Nestle, the source of the contamination was flour. But very soon this incident became a major scandal for different reasons, but among others because media showed very appalling pictures from the factory showing very unsanitary conditions for production, but also because this incident happened back to back with another incident which happened in Ferrero company, and 156 people, mostly children, became ill with salmonella with Ferrero chocolate. But one of the key reasons this became a big scandal was that actually this was not the first time that Nestle had such an incident. Some years ago in the United States, Nestle had an incident with Nestle Toll House cookie dough, where 77 people got sick with the same killing bacteria, very dangerous bacteria. And the source of the outbreak was again flour, contamination of the flour, and the errors which led to the event were exactly the same. That they were lacking a heat treatment step for the flour, and the labeling was not adequate. So as a result of this, they improved the case, the situation in the United States. But at the time of incident in France, the flour was not heat treated and the labeling was not correct. I should also say that when this incident happened in the United States in 2009, it was already several years that I was trying to fight for food safety in the company, and it was 3 years that I was blowing the whistle and asking for an audit of the whole management of food safety in the company. Yet Nestle management refused, and instead they tried to bully me and fired me finally. Now, there is no official report on what is the cause of this outbreak in France, and there is a lack of communication by authorities. This is already one failure, but Nestle also communicated very late. They apologized only in July, 3 months after, and they provided also false explanations. Their explanation is technically, scientifically, totally wrong, to the point that even students can see that this is wrong. And this is actually showing a wrong vision of food safety management. Media investigated the case, but they only focus on one element of the food safety management, which is basic hygiene, because it was easy to show in the films, and they omitted the other parts of the food safety management. But already this part shows total unsanitary conditions in the factory, and it also shows that employees were reporting to the management, and the management of Nestle was just neglecting the report of employees. So this became a huge scandal. However, there is not much known about the other aspects of the system based on the media reports. But when we look at the report of inspections which have happened before the incident in 3 years before, several years before the incident, we can see that actually there were also failures in the other parts of the food safety management system. Even the tools which was most likely to prevent the outbreak were not correctly applied. That is the system which we call HACCP. Worse is that the pathogen E. coli enterohemorrhagic was not even on the radar of Nestle, while they already had an incident before, and they knew that flour can be contaminated, and they knew that flour should be heat treated. But worse is that when we look at the report of the inspection services, we also see that there are failures on that level too, because inspectors only look at hygiene problems. They didn't look at the other aspects of food safety management as the media did. But even on that, they did not follow up. They did not apply any penalty, nothing. And they omitted to look at other aspects of food safety management. So from that perspective, I can see that the inspection was totally inadequate. Other questions is that Nestle had the policy to apply ISO 22000 standards, which is a standard for food safety management. But the question is that, was it implemented? If yes, how come the ISO auditors did not pick up the failures? And what about the retailers and distributors who are supposed to audit their suppliers? Well, how come they didn't see the failures in the company? Well, to summarize and to conclude, what can I say is that there was a chain of failures. Of course, there is no zero risk, but there is a clear evidence of negligence, criminal negligence in this case. We can see that there were failures in food safety management in the factory. There were failures in following up the reports of employees. There were failures in management commitment and the company culture. But at the head office where I worked, my experience mirrored that of the factory, that there were failures in the food safety management. There were failures in following up my alerts, my reporting, and the company refused to audit my food safety management. And the company has a culture of bullying, harassment, a wrong reporting structure, total, and even a fake investigation that the court proved that. And then we have failures at the regulatory level. That means that the inspections was not adequate. The French authorities, but also US authorities to whom I had reported my experience did not follow up on my experience. And we had also failure in the judiciary system because the court was forcing me to sign an out-of-court settlement, which I didn't. Otherwise, I could have not witnessed here. If we consider corporate management as a first layer of control, regulatory oversight as second level of control, then what happens in civil society is the third level of control. And here we can also see failures, because even when Nestle or Lactalis or other companies give false explanations and they do wrong things, there is no professional community organization who stand up and protest. Also, unions just ignore, and we have also media who censor whistleblowers. They have censored me, several of them, and most consumers, to my experience, care very little about the subject. Just to finish, if we have three levels of control: corporate management, regulatory oversight, civil society, in this specific case, all three failed. Thank you.
Jasmine, thank you so much. You can stop sharing now your screen. So thank you so much. I think you covered very important points. I mean, the two main ones that I was reflecting on is that, of course, because of corporate power, the complexity of the supply chain in the food industry, the concentration of power, when, of course, there are responsible corporate behaviors, they may exert profound adverse effects on our society and ourselves, especially when we look at issue like the lack of adequate hygiene. And I was thinking about something similar happened in the UK in the poultry industry. And also, I think the second thing that you covered, very important, is this incredible reluctance of corporate players to change their way in which they conduct the business operations when these things happen. They are reluctant to change, because I think that the point here is a cultural point. They look at the consequence of these misconducts and they look at them as business costs. And so, of course, they rely on the inadequacy of the legal framework. They rely on suppressing whistleblowers because they are making a calculation. So, so thank you so much. Now, the next question is for Jasmine. Jasmine, who knows knows that these questions are going strictly to the point, very important. So my students were very sensible in getting this question here. So the question is, how were you able to stay steadfast with the Nestle case, with this disproportion of power? Most whistleblowers would have given up after a bit of years. How much you will be compensated now that you won? And will this change anything? And I know the answers to this, but I would like you to give the answer.
Yes, I mean, during this, during these 12 years of judicial process, or 16 years, 17 years since my whistleblowing started, I kept to my principles, because that's the way I felt. Okay, I saw this as my professional duty, because I was a public health professional, and I stick to my principles. And during this period, which included many court cases against not only Nestle, but also AXA, Nestle Pension Fund, they all attacked me, even attacked me for talking to the media. And so, of course, they use all my resources, because I was using my own resources. But then what they do is that they take your time, your energy, your money, and then they come and they try to tempt you with money. So they did come to me proposing an out-of-court settlement and proposing me quite a big sum, but I am not allowed by law to say it, but quite a big sum. And my condition was that you have to recognize and you have to correct your food safety management practices. If you don't, I don't agree. And so I didn't agree to sell my silence. That was also one of the conditions. So there was no deal. And so the court is still continuing, and how much the court will decide for my compensation, I don't know. So what was the other question?
I think you answered this question, and was your resilience. How did you resist?
You see, I saw myself like a physician. When you are a physician and you see a sick epidemic or a sick patient, you don't just leave that patient. You stay there and you try to deal with that problem, that health problem. For me, the food safety management of Nestle was so wrong that I could not accept such a thing. So even after that, I was dismissed. I decided I will continue with my profession, and I will continue to blow the whistle. I will continue to say what's wrong in our society. And that's now my new profession. I continue my work.
That's fantastic, and thank you for what you have done. And thinking about what Stephen was saying, you have been fired anyway, but you have been look as a crusader, somebody that is doing this too much. You're too troublesome, so they will apply the separability principle in your case, and this is so bad. So that's fantastic. So let's go on.